all of you. Thank you for coming. I'm Kannan. Can you hear me? My name is Kannan, and I'm going to share with you my journey today. I don't claim to be a farmer, leave alone an organic farmer. I'm just learning the nuances of it. So within this group, there will be many who will know far more than what I know and do. But I've been through a journey. My journey is somebody who is not born into a family of farmers, who have absolutely no idea what farming is all about, but just have an interest. Interest largely inspired by many factors, which I'll take you through in my presentation. So, I have, through this journey, I have discovered that there are some salient points that has helped me, in this journey to quickly get on to farming. And there are certain things that people can avoid. So, feel free to ask questions, but most of your questions might be answered in my journey. Just a sharing. Towards then, we can have a session on it. Yeah, and please excuse my knowledge on this. I don't, again I repeat, claim to be an expert on this, nor I know much about it. I'm just referring to many, there are so many people who are here to help me on this. I refer to traditional practices, so that's largely where I go with this. So let's start. 2 years back, largely inspired by my children, I asked my children, here's Arya, can I get up? Yes, Raya. Okay. She used to think fruits and vegetables come from Reliance Fresh. So, she used to think it all comes from supermarkets. So that was my first thing, as to say, hey, is there a way I can actually show my daughter that these things grow on plants? So that was my first step. Second is I started understanding the problems that come with eating food which are completely filled with pesticides and many other things, because so many people change their lives eating organic food too. Third, one of the prime things I saw a lot of while we were putting this building up, the people who actually built this building were all farmers. This was built about 4 years back. Everybody was a farmer, and all of them used to say they have just left their land. It's not possible to have a sustainable farming. They used to talk about times when their fathers and forefathers used to have farming. It was very profitable. But now that, either there's no water or the land doesn't yield much. So this is a common thing, and all of them who... Something I should be... And all of these guys were here, they didn't have proper homes. They aspired for their children to study and become IT professionals like all of us. And they were all selling off their land. Many of them were asking me for loan against their land. They were saying, sir, you are building katringa, எனக்கு வந்து கல்யாணம் பண்ணனும், இது பண்ணனும், நீங்க எனக்கு இந்த பத்திரம் வச்சிட்டு எனக்கு ஒரு loan கொடுங்க. People just wanted to give away farming, and they just wanted to come. And I see most of the other people also who have trouble farming and coming. So one of the key things that I was asking was, is there a way I wanted to see for myself if this was sustainable. So what inspired us was work for the food we eat first, instead of knowing it's coming from Reliance Fresh. Second was, we were very interested in eating organic and wholesome food, which determines our health. Third is, if organic farming is actually sustainable, because you read reports of, many different reports across the country. You see reports of organic farmers actually doing very well. And I keep traveling in the West. Actually, there is Whole Foods at the moment. I don't know how many of you know, Whole Foods in America is completely organic. And there's a huge movement that's happening there across the West. So our system of farming, and when I start reading permaculture, when I start reading all the material that they present, these are all systems which are already there in our, which is what we all practice traditionally. So they have a big fight against GMO. They have a huge campaign going against use of GMO seeds for using traditional seeds. But here we are in a country which used to do agriculture for the last 5,000 years, managing self-sustainable. I think the whole slide has happened only in the last couple of 100 years. So these are things that set me on saying, hey, can I just experience this instead of just theorizing about it and reading about it? Can I actually experience something? So me and Preeta, we decided that we should actually try a hand in land. We also are tied down by work here. And there was a group of people. Actually, there was this team called Back to the Land. I don't know how many of you are members of that. There are a lot of people who are actually, working professionals who want to go back to land, who want to start farm. And one thing that we found was there's so much of interest with people who either have lands in their family or back in the villages, or people who want to buy land but really didn't know how to go about doing this. So concepts for permaculture, concepts for biodynamic agriculture, traditional agriculture, there's so many concepts floating around. So the sense that I got was that a lot of people were very interested but really didn't know how to go about doing this. So that's the larger reason why I'm today presenting this, so people who are interested may get some points out of this. So the first step that I told myself was, I am confined to Chennai. I have to work here, but I can be a weekend agriculturist. So the farm has to be somewhere closer. So I thought closer was 10-20 kilometers initially, but then I went out 10-20 kilometers till city. 30 kilometers you can't afford the land. 40-50 kilometers you can't really afford the land. That's one parameter. But then as I went in search of land, there are other parameters that came into my mind. One was, I think this will apply to everybody. One is, you should buy a farmland or have a farm where there's an ecosystem of farming. There should be people who come available for labor. The biggest problem for farming today is labor. We have Riga, which is totally spoiled. How many of you know Riga? Yeah, so I think that's a phenomenal thing which is totally ruining farming in the villages. That's what I think, because today you don't get laborers coming out to work. That's one. They have lost the entire essence of working. So your labor dependency has to be reduced, one. So, but also, you also need labor for specific things like, during cultivation, during harvest, during many other things. So that's one. So you need to have an ecosystem of farming around the land. Two, decent amount of water. Without water, there are many people who try and do farming in areas where they don't know water. They go on digging borewells, deeper and deeper and deeper. That's one. And second, they dig goes so deeper for a wrong kind of crop which they grow on the soil. So I'll come into those things a little later. So a little practices which, the thing that you need to understand before you look for land is, one is proximity, second is accessibility by roads, very, very important. You will see a lot of land which is behind many other lands but will have absolutely no access, and you will get it for a good price, but then tomorrow you will pay twice the price for the access. So access is extremely important. Third is, you also need to do a bit of soil testing. I have friends who bought good lands, but totally not productive at all. They bought 10 acres, but they are unable to have water, or the soil is very ill-suited, or the soil is totally gone. And for organic farming, they say that any land has to be left fallow for at least 3 to 5 years, so that any amount of pesticide residue or these things kind of go away, and then you can start. Even then, I don't know if you can be 100% organic, because your ecosystem, your neighbor will be using pests which will come by the air. You will have water which is contaminated, but you can only minimize and try and see how you can be organic to your best. So the third is, you need to also see if it's closer to city. If you're going to ship, it's a very different. The best is if you can work in your land. That's a very different ballgame. But here I think I'm addressing a lot of people who are like me in the city and trying to do a bit of farming. So for that I would strongly suggest you look at these factors, which is proximity, one. Second, I would say is look at farming at a place where there's a historic community of farming available there. So there's a lot of traditional knowledge still available within the villages. And you compare traditional knowledge with any scientific documentation today, it is bang on. So in traditional they will say, I'll put RC, then I'll put Ullum there. So there's a science behind why they do it. They do it to fix nitrogen. So there's a lot of traditional knowledge already available. There are many interesting formats. We call it by different names today. We call it permaculture, we call it many other things, but all these practices are already available in this land. We just need an intelligent method of decoding that and applying to your particular land. So these are the factors that I look for before buying a land. Another most important thing is you need to look at documentation. For every single good land, there are 10 which is not properly documented at all. So you will be very surprised, one day when you buy a land and then you will have somebody else claiming it. So these are factors that you will definitely look at. And the last is, it will be good. The idea is you have to be off-grid if you really want to be sustainable. But initially at least you will need electricity. So it will be good if you want to invest in land, look for a land which already has a supply. Otherwise it usually takes anywhere between 2 to 7 years to get connectivity in a land. Is there any question about this? I'll be willing to answer it. But if somebody is looking for a land and they want to know something more about it, I'll be happy to take questions now or I can go on. Any questions? Yeah?
What is the price per acre?
It differs from place to place, sir. My farm is a little beyond Arakonam. I bought, it's on the way to Sholingar. I bought this land primarily because it fulfilled all my checklists. So I didn't find any land even before that. I found a lot of land which had been cheaper, but either they didn't have access or the soil was not good. I look for soil pH value between 6 and 7, but we can always work on that. And the water ecosystem was not there. The price 2 years back where I bought this was about 6.5 to 7 lakhs an acre. They asked for more, but then if you find the right buyer, you go with the cash. They usually have a bargaining capacity. But now I think the prices in the same area has gone up in the range of 8 to 10 lakhs. But you will be able to find lands even cheaper if you're not looking at this block of land. What I bought was a 10-acre piece, then I bought a 4-acre and a 5-acre. So I have a 19-acre block in one ecosystem. But if you're looking for smaller plot sizes, you can even hunt earlier. For me, it was I was looking at the scale because the system that I was looking for is very different. I want to do a mixture of permaculture along with traditional farming. So I need a larger tract of land to see if it's viable. But there are a lot of people who do with 1 acre also. One of my friends does with 1 acre in Tiruvannamalai. Tiruvannamalai, he bought it at a cost of over 3.5 lakhs, which is a very good price. And his experiment is very different. So it all depends exactly on what you want to do and how you want to do it. So prices, I would say ballpark, it ranges from, if it's around 100 kilometers in Chennai, you'll be lucky to get a good plot 5 lakhs upwards with water, with the checklist that I'm telling you. There are lands available for less than that, but they may not be conducive for farming. Any other questions? Yeah.
Stormwater water is going to be a major factor.
Water is definitely going to be a major factor. I'll come to water also because I have a theory on water. The theory on water is actually Tamil Nadu gets sufficient rainfall annually, though it may not be evenly spread across the year. But if you look year on year, it delivers your 170 million liters of CC or whatever it does. The bigger problem that, if you look at Tamil Nadu as an ecosystem for farming, I think it was this airy and lakes and other things which really sustained agriculture. What has happened is for the last 50 years, I think that has not survived completely. Most of the areas and ponds are actually dumping grounds or they are sold off to factories. People have somewhere lost the connection of water to each other. That is one. Second problem that I see is, though there's a lot of rain happening, it is not directed back to the ground. There's a lot of overflow. There's a lot of unnecessary flow that happens. So proper bunds, proper things are not built. So that's another thing that I see. And third is it not clear, people? Third I think is because Tamil Nadu's traditional crop was not rice. I mean, if you look at, it was largely millet, and millets is Manavari crop. It's not so most of them, I see lands and lands full of paddy and, so paddy takes a lot of rice, a lot of water. So if you do intercropping with millets and ulunde and other thing, I think you can reduce the water dependence.
The question was, which source of water we have to give importance to? For lands which doesn't have a well source, we're talking about the water which is available at 50 feet or 60 feet,
Yeah.
we had always to think of a tube well.
Yeah.
So do tube well sustaining to about 5 acres, 10 acres, will that be, I mean, apt for an
Yeah, of course. It depends. I have a slide separately on water. So I will share what I have. See, I today irrigate 14 acres of my land with just one well. Yeah.
Tube well or a well?
It's a well. It's a well. It's a natural well. But I irrigate, I'll tell you how I'm conserving water. Yeah? Yeah, sorry.
What is the maximum price one can pay for economic viability of an organic farm?
For an acre? If it is, if it is, I did some math. I'll tell you, it's just a feeling, I don't know if I'm right. But I think if you get land cheaper, if you inherit land, that's the best. If you don't, I think anything if you pay over 2 lakhs an acre is not going to be sustainable at all for you, because even if you calculate the interest, it's not going to work for you at all. 2 lakhs an acre is the closest with current prices that I look at, and probably an average of producing. You'll probably take back, I don't know if you'll even get your capex. It's not just the price of land. There are a lot of other expenses. I mean, when you have a land as a first cost, then there are many other things that you need to invest. So I'll take you through before you have a really sustainable practice. But today I'm looking at that as a capital expenditure rather than a kind of revenue. So that's a capex. The only belief that some people think is the land will appreciate, somebody will buy. So that's the logic of that. I may be wrong, but I think if it is bought over 2 lakhs an acre, I don't think it's going to go either.
So what's the size of the size of the land that we use for first of starting?
What is the size?
The minimum size.
It's very personal. It's very personal. Actually, you can do organic farming even in your garden or your terrace. So it all depends on what your objective is. If you want to do farming just to feed your family, Bharadiyar said, Kani nilo meno. Kani is 33 cents. 30 cents. If you look at all our traditional books, 30 cents is just 1/3 of an acre. 100 cents make an acre. 30 cents is more than enough for one to sustain a family of 6. And also have extra money or generate extra produce to marry off his daughter or make a living out of it. So that is traditional, but you will have to practice certain traditional methods. So what they do, they rotate cultivation. They will first have, they will take one season of rice. They will do one season of woolen. They will always have vara tenna. They will have tekamaram, which will come after 20 years for marriage. So that's how they'll have one sandhanamaram, they'll have tekamaram. 130 cents is enough for doing that. And they'll have vegetables in a small plot. In Varappu, they will do manjal, they will do onions, they will do kerala. So they plan a very good, that's permaculture again. They will have a very good ecosystem, which is enough to sustain a family. And they'll have short-term crops, medium-term crops, long-term crops. They'll have a small patch with karumbu, sugarcane. Sorry, can people understand Tamil? I'm just, sorry. So the gentleman asked me what is the minimum land size that one needs. So I really don't know the answer. It all depends on what your objective is. If you want to just have a vegetable and a herb patch, you can probably do it in your terrace or balcony. But if you really want to go by text and by tradition, people said 30 cents is enough to feed a family of 6 and also have extra money to take care of one's life, goals like marrying off children, educating them, or so they plan their crops accordingly. They have a short-term, mid-term, and a long-term crop. So that's how it works. That is how the system works. So you have to figure out what you can do now. But the answer is you can do a lot with just 30 cents of land. Any other questions?
I think it's better to be away from some hill areas, because the problem with monkeys because I heard from many people in my village, they are not able to grow some particular vegetables and fruits because of monkeys and so on.
Yeah, that is there. I think that's a problem that's going to be there. So you should probably grow crops that are not, that don't attract monkeys. Probably should do something that grow beyond. No, I'm just saying, see. Those things are there. For example, I had maize and corn. The entire produce was eaten by birds. I was very happy because I think the ecosystem, some of it goes, it's okay. Some percentage of it has to, it's an ecosystem where you have to share. So I lost 2 crops of maize and corn, but that happens. So you can plan accordingly.
See, there's a
Yeah.
practical problem. There's a shortage for cocoa in the world.
Shortage for?
Cocoa in the world.
Cocoa, yes.
Yeah. Nestle is ready to give you cocoa pods to grow and give the pods back to you.
Who's willing to give it?
Nestle.
Nestle, yeah, okay.
Alright. But the problem is bats are eating these cocoa pods as they're getting the
Okay.
as they're getting ready.
Okay.
So what do you think will be a good solution? We have the ecosystem, but still we are not able to find the proper land.
That's okay. First, that's why I told you I'm not an expert in farming. I've still not come on to cocoa.
Contract farming comes in a different concept rather than.
Yeah, see, I don't have the answer for you, but I will try and figure out some answer because cocoa didn't figure out in my product of list that grows in Tamil Nadu as a produce. At least I have made a database for different soil types and different plants. And since I'm going the traditional route, the cocoa didn't figure out there also. We don't think is good for the ecosystem is to stick to more traditional crops. Sorry. Yeah.
Cocoa is a very specific area, like in Kerala it grows.
Yeah.
Because it needs certain altitude, certain humidity, and so on. So it can't be grown like any other crop.
Exactly. So I think it is very area specific. That's a definite answer. Any other questions, or can I move on to the next slide? Yeah, sure.
Planning for a rooftop garden.
Yeah.
So planning to grow some vegetables or something like that. So I start up with garden.
You started with?
No, I want to start up with organic farming. Okay. In a rooftop garden. Is it sustainable?
Absolutely. Rooftop garden. In fact, I have this roof only for that. Unfortunately, I can't do it because I have a leak in the floor somewhere. So that's why I'm postponing the operation. Since I couldn't farm here, I went out. My original idea was to have a terrace garden here. It is definitely practical. One of my friends does it, and he doesn't buy vegetables at all. So he grows locally grown food, which grows on his rooftop, and that's what he grows: greens, vegetables, which are only local. He doesn't grow cauliflower. He doesn't grow carrot. He can't get avocado. So you can't get Bangalore tomatoes. You can get local ones. So you get most of your local produce on your terrace. But of course, he doesn't do rice because you can't do that. So there are certain crops. He even grows plantains. He has 2 plantain crops, but banana. So there are certain things that you can do on a terrace garden. It is definitely viable because you get your produce and you know where you're getting it from. You know the greens that we buy, kira. Kira, they say, is the most healthy food. It's one product which has the maximum pesticides. So you grow greens on your top. I mean, you're getting amazing, crops. So that way it definitely reduce. Any questions, or can I move on? Yeah. Okay. There are many practices available. People farm for many things. One is organic. Second is a lot of people want to do permaculture. How many of you know permaculture here? You know permaculture. Do you want me to explain the concept of permaculture just in a short word? Yeah, okay. See, permaculture stands for permanent agriculture. Anybody who's from Kerala will know permaculture is part of this land. Permaculture has a concept of guild. I'll try to make it very simple. It's a concept of guild of self-supporting ecosystems. What they say is, in nature, plants don't grow alone. They grow as a guild. A guild is a combination of many plants. So, if you go to Kerala, you will find that he has a Pathum Americana tree, which has a pepper growing around it, and then we have a Vethala herb, and down he'll have kalangu or turmeric, and so this is a guild. And each of them complement the other by pest control, by helping each other by fixing nitrogen. If pepper takes away some nutrition from the ground, then Erkanat will give the deficient nutrition back into nature. So nature as it is very self-sustaining. It is a very intelligent way of growing in a guild. So if you look at the guild in Tamil Nadu, you will find palm tree. With the palm tree you will have probably a mango tree or a arasamaram. Then you will have one creeper growing on top of it, which will give you I don't know, or whatever. You see this as guild, and in the bottom you will find a few herbs growing, tulsi growing, or any of this. So guild is a natural system. So they protect against weed, they protect against pests, they protect against many of these things naturally. So people started looking at this as a sustained ecosystem. See, forests largely are permanent agriculture. Permaculture are largely forests. So you have each of these plants supporting the other and growing. So farmers have taken the concept of permaculture and they try to create their own beautiful guild. The example I'll tell you in Tamil Nadu of guild. If one kani of land is there, it's 30 cents, they actually break it down into varapu buns. In the varapu, what they will do is, they will have coconut trees, they will have plantains, and along the plantain they will have towara or something. Towara is a good nitrogen fixer. In the same bun they will have yams. All yams are grown there. They'll have a murunga also, and they'll have a papaya. Banana and papaya, they will have it across. Because the roots of banana and papaya grow wider, they loosen the soil, which is very important. And they didn't have our drip irrigation those days, so they will irrigate near the banana or the papaya. Since the root network is there, it will take water across the entire plot of 30 cents. So they used to use existing ecosystems, and they used to spread water. It's a network of pipes which they used to do. This is a typical permaculture thing. And then they used to use the center portion for different cultivations, be it rice, be it pulses, be it groundnuts, be it vegetables. So they do it seasonally. So 30 cents of land, also you can do permaculture. And each permaculture can have a different gig. Any questions on this? This I can answer, and then I'll just take a little more on the practice. So that's for permaculture. Any questions on permaculture?
So it is actually on the intercrop theory, is it?
No, intercropping is a little different, but you're right. Permaculture is a natural ecosystem. We just have to mimic nature. So in Tamil Nadu, if you look at it, I'm saying you'll see coconut trees supported by banana naturally. So it requires little shade, and they put turmeric also. That's a guild. Why do they do it? Because coconut gives shade. There are some crops which grow only on shade. So adapt one for shade. And banana, if you just put a crop without the protection of coconut, the leaves get destroyed. So it needs shade, it needs less air, and of course you have turmeric also to support the entire ecosystem. Turmeric and tulsi is natural repellent of insects and pests. So this is a thing that forms naturally. So what we do is we just copy nature and call it a guild. So each of these guild will be different for different regions. It is not the same for each region. So I'm saying what guilds form in different, and each guild will form differently for different land, different type of soil. A red soil will have a different kind of guild. A loamy soil will have a different kind of guild. So if you go to Tanjore side, they'll have teak growing along the fences. Here they'll put Velikata mold along the fences. So each of these, and teak will support many of the ecosystems. So each of this is very different for each type of soil and water available. So I'll move on from permaculture to organic. Organic is a big word today, but it's primarily, I define organic as very simple. Organic is something primarily where you don't use chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides, that's all. That is organic, but the way I look at organic is a farmer. I'm looking even at the seed level. Can we grow food that has traditional seeds? I'll tell you why traditional. Does anybody know why traditional seeds? Anybody, any concept on why traditional seeds versus why seed is important here? Sorry?
Genetically not modified. So you can keep planting.
Yeah, that's one.
Year.
That's one.
Yeah. You don't have to buy new and then seeds.
That's from an economic point of view. The differences between traditional cows and imported cows. Traditional seeds are required. I'll say, how do I put? They have more vitality.
The sustainability.
Yes, they are more vital. Yeah, they are more vital. Yeah, they can grow in harsher conditions also, like our traditional cows one. Second, the value of traditional seeds, the composition of rice. For example, if you look at rice today, we all think the rice is carbohydrates. Rice in the land is largely carbohydrates. But rice, which is our traditional food, didn't have a high percentage of carbohydrates. They had a higher percentage of protein instead of carbohydrates. But over a period of time, due to erosion of the system, your composition of the rice has changed from amino acid 7 to amino acid 32 today. So the difference is huge. It's more starchy than it's more protein. So that's one. Traditional rices have more nutrient value. They require less maintenance, less water, and they have more potency. So these are the reasons why traditional seeds. In fact, in Tamil Nadu we had, I think, more than 300,000 varieties of different rices. Today we hardly have seeds of about 200 or 300. Rest of the crops are out. I have seen in my native village, not my native, my grandfather where I belong, I have seen rice which is 6 feet tall, which grows for about 9 months. It's not a 3-month crop. It's a 9-month crop. It's completely black in color. But the entire ecosystem today doesn't have this. That variety is not even there. There's another variety which grows only 2 feet. And it comes in 4 months. But there are many things which are extinct. But there are a lot of people who are doing a great job. There's many people who have seed banks of traditional variety. The idea of traditional variety is more resilient, and if proper care is given, they can answer our nutritional answers also. They are high nutrition per kilogram or per gram of high nutrition is there on traditional seeds. But from a business point of view, they may not fetch you the same price as what a basmati or much more popular rice would kind of give you. I have a rice, what is it called? Jeeraga Samba. No, Preeta, what do you put in it?
Jeeraga Samba.
Jeeraga Samba, Mapla
Ichli
Samba.
Samba.
Ichli Samba. They're so tasty, and that can pass for basmati also. No, it can pass for basmati. Right now I'm growing Mapla Samba, right? The one that we're having. And the variety is phenomenal. And we use a different method called SRI, which there are people, how many of you know methods of, I would like to see, because I can talk from basic farming to methodology, so I'd like to know where I would like to, because I don't want to go too deeper into specific. Yeah?
What explains the cost that the traditional rices are costlier than the Sona Masuri?
Very, very good question. See, traditional rice will not give you yield per acre initially as other seeds give you. You know how it happens in the market today? Stefan also answered correctly. Traditional seeds you can sow, you can keep it back, there's no seed cost. Today you go buy IR, whatever they call it. You take the seed. There's a nutrition deficiency already for growing. So you first have to buy the seed. So there's a cost of buying the seed. Then when you plant, you have to supplement the deficiency with specific fertilizers as it is packaged, so that it grows. There are 3 processes. If you go to any university, first you put this, then you put urea, then you put, they have a process of saying you have to introduce all these pesticides and fertilizers into the system. Without that, they don't grow. They don't give you a yield of 30 bags or 40 bags at all. A traditional variety will not give you the yield at all. You'll probably be lucky if you get 10 bags of rice. So economically, people see rice, 1 kilo rice is 25 rupees or 1 kilo rice is a big difference, right? But organic produce does get a premium, but still it may not match up to the market conditions that are there. So that way I'm saying initially you will have a problem, but what I found from people who have done organic farming over the last 20 years, I know some people who have done farming for 20, 25 years. After 4 years, they've been able to improve cultivation. Their costs are absolutely lower, much lower, and then they are able to get better prices over a period. So if you're there for a long haul, I think economically it's definitely possible. Initially farmers don't have the kind of luxury to wait, they want to get the maximum yield because they're already fighting a losing battle. So does it answer your question? So your choice of whether you want to be traditional or permaculture largely dictates the kind of farm that you need. So you asked me about intercropping. That's a good question. Intercropping, I think, is essential. One of the things that I think is wrong with the system today is people cultivate entire patches of land with monocrop. Monocrop, I think, is extremely bad. They either do full chilies, they do full paddy.
It's like a western.
Yes, so that influence has come here. Our traditional practice was very different, where we used to do intercropping, primarily because it used to give back the land, what the previous plant took away. So if you look at our traditional practice, they would always fix nitrogen after probably a malaga or a rice. After paddy, they would probably put it or any of these nitrogen fixers. And they would, I think people back there focused only on enriching the soil rather than counting the produce. So they really knew that if I enrich the soil, the produce is automatically taken care of. So if I conserve water, if I do practices that are good for the soil takes. I take care of the soil takes care of me. I think that was the philosophy at which people, that's why they didn't use harsh equipment, they use more manual labor. So those are things which sustain agriculture for a long time. But if you do it in the sense of industrial monocropping, that's a problem. So one of the things that I notice is large people do monocropping because it's easy to do it, it's easy to manage. So one of my neighbors just does chili. He has 5 acres, he only puts chilies, nothing else. So he did this, he put chilies once, and I was waiting to see if he's going to put another crop. No, he went back and put chilies again. He just the farm next to me. He did it for 3 consecutive crops because chili was getting a lot of money. He used to dry it, and then he used to sell both the dried chilies and the green chilies. And the 4th crop never came. He started complaining to me, saying, no good rain, no big problem. He doesn't realize the chili is actually ruined. And these are people who've been farming for generations. So, I'm not qualified enough to comment on it, but from what I can see is, if you do this kind of agriculture, and for each chili crop, he kept on increasing his amount of fertilizer, amount of pesticide, otherwise it wouldn't give his yield. I think many parts of the country people are doing it. I have another farmer example who does intercropping, very intelligent. How many of you have gone to farms which are organic? Have anyone of you been to any organic? Okay. Where have you gone? Single pet. So what did you see there?
They do intercropping.
They intercropping. Okay. So that's what you noticed. Okay. So most of these farms which are onto organic, they understand the essence of what it is to give back to the land. So it's not about what I take from the land. The primary approach is how do I give back to the land, how do I enrich it? That's the premise. So it's like if I take care of my basics, the land takes care of me. So all organic farms either embrace permaculture or they do crop rotation. This is the basic thing. So, and there is an intelligence in choosing crop rotation also. I'll take it to some of my see, your traditional practice was where before every sowing, people used to actually first grow a plant which fixes nitrogen. One of the best nitrogen fixers is Navadhanam. Has anybody heard of this Navadhanam which grows on? Yeah? So traditionally what farmers used to do is they leave a crop of Navadhanam and they will leave it for the soil. What they will do is they will take the tractor or whatever and they'll mix with the soil back. They will not take it for any produce. And they leave that nitrogen back in the soil. And the traditional practice was before every crop, they would enrich, as much as possible, they would enrich the soil by either doing a Navadhanam or they would use a nitrogen fixer. And after the produce was taken, for example, if I take rice or if I take groundnuts, I will harvest the groundnuts, but I will put back the stalk, the leaves, back into the land for it to mulch. So the value is given back to the land. And then they will grow. So these are a list of nitrogen fixers that I've kind of listed out. These are largely used in India. And I have highlighted yellow ones. I have a loamy soil. So I have highlighted ones which can be used for my soil. These all fix nitrogen. For me, Tovara fixes nitrogen. All pulses fixes nitrogen. I use sun hemp. So I'll show pictures of my farm, where I had entire farm covered by sun hemp. So that was the first thing that I ever grew on that land, which was fixing nitrogen. One of the factors that made me buy the land was also nothing, there was no agriculture done on my land for the last 12 years. That was very exciting for me because if nothing is done for 12 years, then the soil, has not been really, the soil would have had time to nourish itself back to land. So that is one reason I picked up this land also. So a lot of these concepts actually dictate the kind of farm, the kind of seed that you will buy. One more thing that somebody asked me is about water, right? See, I don't have enough water to farm for 14 acres. If I do it the traditional way. The traditional way is where you do party katti, you dig a canal and then you send water through it. If I do that, then I can't even do 2 acres. So one of the first thing, the biggest thing that anyone will face is how do you plan your layout based on the resources you have. You have this water resource. Of course, I have a choice of digging another hole for another 200 feet, which I want to delay as much as possible. Is there a way I can harvest water when it rains intelligently so that my water level rises, my groundwater table goes up? Can I do plant selection and crop selection? See, the way I have done crop selection is largely crops which use lesser water. So you will find that my farm I have rice for just about less than an acre. It's more millets, it's more vegetables, it's more plants. It's more of that because there are 2 reasons. One is I'm a weekend agriculturist, so I can't really go pluck vegetables every day. So I'm growing food that can be stored. So millets can be stored, oil can be stored, chilies can be dried and stored. All these can be stored actually. They won't kind of decay. And you can transport it once a month or whenever it's possible. Not like I put a little bit of brinjal and tomato. Every day you can feed a team that day. We get 2 bags of tomatoes. It's a very small a patch of tomatoes that I grow, but I get 2 bags every day. I don't have a market to kind of bring 2 bags of tomatoes every day. Each bag will be at least 50-70 kilos. So each vegetable produces very, very high. So you need to look at what is your objective, what do you want. So I'll tell you how I plan my farm. Are you able to see this clearly? This piece was the first piece I brought. It's about 10 acres. This is full of ponds, so there's nothing much here. The well is here. There was no division. The well is here. And then we added this 4 acres of land later. It had 2 wells, but the sand is kind of caved inside there. But it had a more defined, because it was already farmed, it had a well-defined land. So I didn't really need to define it like that. But what I had to do was, I had to plan, this is where I have built a house. I'm now building a storeroom here. I'm building a cow shed here. This is the road. I first formed the road. So it's easy to go to all blocks. Then this is a connecting road, this goes here also. This is another 5 acres available, but this is for growing fodder. This is not our land. This piece, so this connects to this land. This I will largely use it for just growing fodder for the cows. So that's a larger plan. I have still not done anything here. But what I did was, I had to plan this layout. Today it looks very neat, but for me, I had to have road. And I had to divide plots in such a way, depending on the crops that I will kind of put here. So the black line that you see here is where I grew fence crops. Fence crops is right from pea to Geocedia to many other plants that I require for using in my farm for pest or either for nitrogen fixing or for long term. So all these act as a natural barrier. There's a 10 feet space here. You see a green line. This green line is what I use completely for fruit crops across. So there's a live fence, the 10 feet gap, and then there's an entire thing of fruit crops. Even fruit the way I planned is there's one mango, followed by probably sapota, then by pomegranate, then by probably another variety of mango, not the same mango, then papaya, then different varieties. The logic behind doing that is, if one mango attracts a particular kind of pest or insect, it doesn't spread. So if you have mango and you have sapota here, probably it will not spread because the sapota will have a different kind of insect, which will control the spread of pests. So that's how I laid out. So no trees are similar. The total number of trees across this fence is about 5,500 trees. So this is a permaculture guild that I built here. So this will be self-supporting. In between I today have herbs, I have banana in between this till they all grow. And I have also put a fence. On the fence I grow creepers. So anything that is a creeper, whether it is pawpaw or bitterbird or all these gourds, they all grow here on the fence. So I get a huge harvest of fence vegetables from this. So this is my permaculture area. And when I designed this, it's very important to know the direction of the sun also. This is south, north, east and west. So sun casts a shadow. So if you have tall trees here, then you would have to plant in such a way that it doesn't have too much of shadow. Or it's okay to have any amount of shadow. So the way it is planned and crops are planted also is in such a way that the shadow doesn't spoil the produce. So even my fence crops you want. So that's why you have coconut here. All these red lines are full of coconut. This is all coconut along the road. So they form avenues and they don't cast a shadow. So that's the way we planned it here. So I think this is one of the most important steps you need to go through if you're having a lot of land. And each of these are divided as 30 cents approximately. So you can measure your produce by 30 cents instead of an acre. And each of these you can do multiple different crops. So if this is where your house is, I would probably grow plants which need maximum attention here. I can grow millets there. They don't require constant attention. They probably need watering once in 4 days. But I would keep other plants which need constant feeding closer. And I would also rotate it. So so right now what I've done is I have grown rice here. Growing rice is good. It's closer to the house. Rice is here and here also. Why I do rice is because this has to be level. Rice is a good way of leveling your land very well. It spreads nutrition very, very well. So after rice, I would never grow rice here. Probably rice would go here, other plots. And soil differs from that plot to this plot. So you have to be quite sensitive. For example, I grow onions and mustard here because the soil is good for that. And here I do millets. Here I do rice and groundnut because I find the soil better for this. So planning a layout, I think, is one of the most important things. Anybody has a question, I'll answer about layouts. Yeah. The first thing is you get a soil tested for pH value and the type of soil.
Where do you test it?
There are many centers. Each area wherever you buy has a department of agriculture, so you can get it tested there. And I can send you a list of the CIKs which test this for you, Center for Indian Knowledge System. They do the testing for you. There are many independent players who do this soil testing. They come to the land and they do the soil testing. Soil testing is not about scooping a piece of land, no. I'll tell you a little about soil testing. For this piece of land, they dig pits across all They dig pits 3 feet deep. They take the soil across 7 locations or 8 locations and they test it for consistency. So that's how you test soil. It's not scooping soil into the river. It's soil 3 feet down that you do the test.
We have a terrace, like terrace garden.
Yeah.
So for that, if I want to do a soil test, because what you say is that in the rural places we have all this testing, some agriculture department.
You have put soil in the terrace, is it?
Yeah. For the terrace garden, so I
So
don't
what
know
you
about
do
this.
is, I can give you a number. You take your soil, probably take from different parts of, you may not have 3 feet. You may have
definitely.
Yeah. So take whatever soil is available. But I don't think you should worry about soil because soil can be actually nourished. Today I'm very confident that you can increase, even if it's poor, you can increase soil.
No, that's based on the data, right? So you see, after I see that there is something,
Yes, absolutely.
something is less,
Absolutely.
then I can
Yes.
think of something, to add it.
Yeah. There are many labs here in Chennai who do it. So if you have a terrace garden, I just think you should take the soil. But for terrace garden, do you use only soil?
Yeah, I mix with the cocoa pit as well.
Yeah, you mix with cocoa pit. Have you tried sugarcane mulch?
No, not bunching.
So, okay, anyway, I think you should take your soil and get it tested. See how it is. I mean, your pH value large determinant will give you what is deficient and all this stuff. So look for land 6 to 7.5 is okay, that's best. But even if it's less or more, you can definitely rectify that, that's not a problem. So if you find a good piece of land with all other factors but a little poor soil condition, it's still okay. Get that land and you can always rectify it. Soil is not such a big problem. In Israel they grow it on deserts, they grow it without soil. So that's not much of a problem.
Stony patches.
Yeah.
Very stony. It's high engineering.
Yeah. Any questions on this? Yeah.
What is the well available for your irrigation? How you are irrigating?
Sorry?
How you are irrigating?
How am I irrigating? Yeah, that's the next question. Next thing I'm coming. My water resource is not great. In fact, both these wells have sand caved in. They have not farmed for many years. So that way it was very good for me to buy this land because I know it will be pest free. So I bought this land, but traditionally they had 2 wells. I have to dig this out right now. Only this well supplies for the entire 14 acres. I'll tell you how I'm. It was largely my choice, but I got data from many sources. You first look at what the ecosystem support nearby. You go to, see for example, the farmer opposite my land, he does sugarcane. He does sugarcane in about 1 acre of his 5 acres. Sugarcane requires a lot of water. If there's sugarcane, it means there's a reasonable amount of water. They bore it there, and they have an area from where water comes. For me, I don't have access to the area water. And even if I have access to area water, I will not use it because it passes through so many other fields, and it comes with all the pesticides. So if I use area water, then I can't claim to be organic. That's the problem in Chidambaram or Tanjavur, You get Kaveri water flowing in. So the typical irrigation is through canals. So water will come. So it will pass through many other lands and then come to your land. So if that guy puts pesticide, I don't know if you really can, you can avoid it even if you're free to come into it. So I don't use that land. So does that answer your question? Yeah. Sorry? I can take it to a list. I'll show it to you. You see, these are all the plants that can be used for live fence. And the yellow one is what I have used, which is good for my soil. I can share this with all of you. So I'll give the Tamil name is there, the common name is also there. So each of these have their own, why they use it, their own value. For example, vetiver here is used because once it grows, it does 2 things. One, it loosens the soil, so the soil is never hard. Second, it prevents, it's such a thick fence, it's a natural pest repellent, pest or insect repellent. And third is it's also commercial, you can harvest it commercially. Fourth, it adds a lot of value if you're doing your own medicines. You can add many of these things. For example, nochi I use for, I make pucci variety. Pucci variety is a traditional pesticide I use, it's bio. So I use neem, I use many of these plants which I grow on the fence, and I use it to create my own pesticide, biopesticide as I call it. So you grow all these things. So I have made a list of all the plants which can be used on fence. Some have medicinal values, some have, I have planted all this, some have other values. For example, you have tea. Rita, do you have the full list of crops? I think I have it here. So this is what I have planted in, if you look at tree crops, these are all the trees I have planted. I have kept which plot they are in. So tomorrow I should know that this is in plot 1. So I have bagai, I have how many trees I have. This is the name of the plant. This is the number of plants that I have. And which block. So I will know each block it has these trees near them. So I have taken this for diversity, for variety, to create an ecosystem for birds. For example, Nagalingam, Magiram, these are things which add value in a different ways. it attracts bees, it attracts birds. So you're creating an ecosystem of, you're creating a permaculture around, right? So you need to create trees also which attract certain kind of, so I have teak also, not here but teak as well. So if you look at this whole thing, this gives you an idea of the different plants that I have done. So if you look at teak, it's here. And it tells you where I have. Teak, there's nothing, 6 here and block 2, 6 and block 6, block 4, 7. So there's a grid that I have done, so tomorrow I'll be able to identify, I'll see how many of them have really come. So right now I'm in that process of documenting, and I've also kept medicinal plants. So all these are medicinal. So this is about creating a permaculture guild. So you just don't create, one is fence, then you create fruit crops and then medicinal crops. They all grow as a guild. So these are all the medicinal plants. Each of them have a medicinal plant, a medicinal value, and I can use it for my medicinal purpose or personal use. Same for block B. This is consolidated. So it also has a number of fruits. And I only used fruits that will grow in my soil. I have not just grown anything just because I fancy it. So I have tried. One thing that stands out is this. You will say, well, how are you growing apple? I have tried four plants of apple, which is traditional, which grows in certain belts of Tanjore. So it was surprising for me also that I found oranges in Tanjore, wonderful oranges. So I didn't know that there's a tradition of having apples and oranges in Tamil Nadu, but I tried and took that, and that's what is growing here. To source this was another big journey. Sourcing all these traditional varieties is a real big challenge. So you need to get it from multiple areas. There's one good farm in Chittor. For all the fence crops, Isha does a very good job. You can get it from Isha. For certain crops, they don't have everything. And then in Chengalpet, there's a Irula community. So they have all the herbs. It is best to get herbs from them, because they have the tradition of doing that. I can pass on all this information, So Irula is for this. Isha can give you certain kind of crops. Chittor can give you certain kind of traditional fruit crops. When you're buying fruit, you need to be very careful, because most of them graft and keep. There's different varieties. So you should look for fruit crops that come from the seed. So it's a little premium, but they last longer. For example, coconut varieties. They'll easily sell you one that will come in 2 years, 3 years, they'll be short and all that stuff. But the same thing if it comes from a seed, instead of it grafted or something, that will last longer. It'll yield for many more years. So gone are the trees which yield for 50 years, 100 years today, so you don't have that ecosystem. So when you buy, if you make an intelligent purchase, it is better that way. So I'll be able to give you information about where you can buy these kind of plants, because I spent quite a lot of time hunting for this. So I think that's the only value I can bring into this whole thing. Yeah? So these are the plants. Does it answer your question? Anybody?
I was told that the teak trees are not suitable for Tamil Nadu, so more for Kerala, because even if you grow for 20 years, it doesn't gain girth in it.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I have not grown teak here for the purpose. The teak is good in Tanjore, so they grow very big. For me, teak is part of an ecosystem that has to be there. So teak has its own value that it gives back to the land. So even here we have teak. And we have badam. So I have only about 10 or 20 in this entire ecosystem. So it is to have those things, and also it is to go with my objective of short term, medium term, and long term. So it's an experiment. I want to see how it works in long term. You're right. Any questions on this?
So how many percentage of them survive?
Very good. For me, actually, God willing, I think I've just lost 7 plants out of 5,500. Yeah. That is also because of rain that came, too much of rain. And then because of water logging, it just wilted away.
So we did coconut in this Gandamarga water, the big one.
Yeah.
Purutharna spoiled and falling down.
No, but yours is probably at an advanced stage. That's why you should use Puchi variety. Have you used any?
Traditionally, local
Allah, Langla, food security is no, that is Panchagavya. That is a fertilizer. Food security is pest control. See, you know the challenge I face. I'm the only organic farmer in a village. Around me, everybody is a farmer who uses pests. So pests escape those farms and come to my farm, which has absolutely no pest. So I was deeply affected by this pests. So there are certain ways of actually handling pests. And how do I say this? The magic medicine is food security. You just have to be diligent in spraying that every 15 days. 15 days, whether there is poochie or there is no poochie, just spray food security. I'll tell you what food security is made of. We make in our farm only. You have to take cow's urine. If it is better if you take the traditional cow's urine. You cut leaves of neem, aradore. What is that white flower? Punga. No, that's white. Erigum. Yeah. No, not pulle. Erigum chedi. So there are 7 leaves that we cut, which we grow in the fence itself. Put it, soak it for a week. But every day you need to stir it. And then you take, after a week you filter it. Use 10% concentrate. It's a concentrate. So for every 10% we use a sprayer. So every 10% fills out for 1 liter, it's 12 liters of water. And you spray diligently. No poochie comes. No poochie. I use it for groundnuts, I use it for vegetables, I use it for coconut, I use it for banana. I had lots of poochie. Because all poochies came from the other farms, so this helps. But you have to do it. You have to do it at your own farm. I can teach you how to do that. So it's not difficult at all. You have to do it very, very diligently. And that's work for me. It saved my crops also. I was about to lose my groundnut crop, but just one food security, that's a traditional thing.
We lost 40% of the plants.
Because of that. Yes, it can happen. It can happen. Definitely it can happen. See, again, 40% of plants you can lose also based on the sapling. If it's from traditional seeds, they have higher potency to fight. They have a higher will to survive. You take a traditional cow, they will not give you milk. Or you take a Jersey cow. Jersey cow will give probably a lot more milk. But you see which will have less disease, which will survive the heat, which will be more. It is a traditional thing.
Even country dogs.
Yes, exactly. So if your selection is traditional, they are genetically, they've endured for thousands of years. No? But today we do all this. So that might also be one of the reasons why you lost. I know why I lost 7 plants is because there was a pit we dug and there were weeds which I didn't pluck because I was thinking I should allow weeds to grow for some time. But the weeds actually covered, it didn't allow me to see the water depth. And also I'm only going once a week, so that's how that happened. Otherwise I should have actually physically trained it. Otherwise I would have saved it.
How do you deal with rats?
Rats?
Rats or bad?
Snakes will take care of it. Seriously. That's a good question. I have a lot of rats.
She is talking about the house, the kitchen garden in the house.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Constant problems.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, barn owl box in terraces.
Yeah.
The owl comes and lives, they take the rats.
That's a good idea.
It's supported by CA case.
Yeah.
They found it.
Hey, super.
Works very effectively.
They are a solution.
We want come here.
What is it?
Oh, please.
For anyone who wants to avoid rats, just don't drill them, or if you are afraid of snakes, just have a barn owl box, which is available ready-made with CIKs, or you can make it of your own. You can attract other birds also with rats.
Yeah.
It's
Barn owl.
yeah, barn owl box.
Barn owl box. So you keep owls will come, they will take care of the rats. But there are other traditional methods. In her school, I see they keep a small, what do you call that, Rita? What do you call it? Rat thing.
Yeah, it's a catcher, right?
No, not the catcher. This one is something where it just sticks to.
Sheet, right?
Yeah, and then they don't kill the rat. Okay? They
Yeah,
just,
it's like a glue.
it just sticks, yeah, and then they just So you can probably do something like that. So in the field, she's asking for a house. Oh, this gentleman says you can use a fishing net.
The problem is snake gets caught in when they die.
But in the farm. Okay.
But they can use fishing net is then spread it.
On top of your crop? Around it, yeah. So that's yeah.
How many people do you employ? There are people who take care of it.
Very good question. 2 people. Yeah. See, the objective is I wanted to reduce labor dependency. So I'll tell you what all I did, because labor is almost impossible to find. I have a family husband and wife living there. That's all. They take care of it. And I also tried and done things which will reduce labor dependency. Made life easier. So I'll tell you how I've done that. The next slide. So it's the same picture, but you see a red color thing going everywhere. This is pipes. I have piped the entire 14 acres and connected to my well. I have put pipes 3 feet down the ground, and I can actually, if I have to, my well is here. If I want to irrigate this land only, I traditionally would have to dig a canal and it will go here. By the time it reaches there, I would have lost 1,000 liters of water to just give this 50 liters of water. So it would have just gone underground. So what I have done, somebody asked me about water. You asked? Yeah. So one of the things, it is a little capital intensive, but that's the only way to save water. If you want to really spread it to 14 acres, one of the things is how do you plan efficiently to carry water to each of your plot. So each of these green things that you see is a valve. So I can just irrigate this or these lands. I have valves which will direct water only to specific plots, and I don't need electricity to even suppose I want to just irrigate these 2 plots. I don't need electricity at all. The pipes are built at an angle, so there's always water. So if I just open the valve, whatever is remaining within the system will go to the particular plot. So, but you can only do it for a very small plot. So if it is 1 plot, then all the water will go there. But if you want to irrigate the entire block, then I'll have to use motor. The other thing I'm working on is I'm working on building a tank, an overhead tank. So I'll have water force and gravity will do the rest of the job. Or I have to build a solar, I'm trying to put solar, so I use it for electricity just to pump the water. But that's all phase 2. This is the part of the journey I've gone at this point of time. So I have piped the entire, this is one way you can actually save a lot of water. Because
this seems to be more of an engineering practice agriculture.
Yeah.
Last capex investment on the entire thing talking about agriculture will be more viable than the building process itself.
Not really. See,
What was your model actually? Now, you want to build a self-sustained farmland,
Yeah.
or you want to have a model farmland to...
self-sustainable. So that's what I answered first. My quest was largely to if organic farming is sustainable. When I say sustainable, is it?
No, that's going to be excellent deal. It's what you are saying.
No, I'm not saying it's excellent deal.
That's what you've been practicing, like the tomato.
No. See, I have not even reached the level where I can say I've broken even. I know I will not even break it for the next 10 years. That's okay. So my trip is very different.
It's not a project model.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's not all, but I think it can be done at a smaller level. So 1 acre. See, the average land holding of a farmer is 1 acre today. It's definitely possible. Government gives you subsidy. I don't even qualify subsidy because subsidy comes only for people who have less than 5 acres.
So it should be liberal enough to say what is the capex you have spent on.
Of course, I will. Of course. So this was to answer your question on water. So that's why.
What the source I was asking irrigation.
Oh, irrigation, somebody else asked about water? Yeah, sorry. Does this answer your question? No, lot of water, one of the reasons is lot of water is lost in transmission. Like how power is lost in transmission. A lot of water is actually lost in transmission. So you could use this. Second, sorry.
How do you water the permaculture around?
Drip. I'll come to that. So I use, for water conservation, I use drip irrigations for my 5,500 plants. So it is just drip, 45 minutes, 3 times, once in 3 days. That's all is required. So that's it. I use for certain crops, I use sprinklers. I have sprinklers also. So again, for groundnut it is about 45 minutes, once in 4 days. So that efficiently kind of reduces water usage. So the objective that I'm going with is how do I enrich soil? How do I harvest water? That's the model I'm going with at this point, right? And I have a feeling that what grows, if you do the right things, your yield may not be up to published standards, but it will grow. So one is pipes. They are definitely efficient in saving a lot of water for you.
Is there a natural gradient?
Sorry?
Is there a natural gradient in the farm area?
You're talking about height?
Yeah.
I would have been blessed if there is something like that, but unfortunately mine is a flat land. So I have to build bunds to stop overflow. I actually did a hay pillar and checked where the water flows. Towards this towards the end of my land there is a natural course of how water can go, but I've actually divided the plot in such a way that I want to retain water within each of those bunds, right there. Instead of letting it flow, I don't want water overflow because water overflow takes away your topsoil also. I don't think it makes sense. So you have bunds, and the best way to keep water is place them underground. So my soil also is loamy, so it doesn't really stay, it charges down.
You said your pipes are all 3 feet down the soil.
Yeah, no, I designed it for gravity, 3 feet. I had to get an angle, right? So it's for a very different reason. I did for 3 feet because I didn't want it to be damaged by the heavy machinery that may go inside on tractors.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
If the pipes are 3 feet below, like, or at least they're below the soil,
Yeah.
are you releasing the water below the soil or above the soil and all those valves?
Above this.
Oh.
Above
Do you
the soil.
think it will make a difference if you release the water at least maybe half a feet below the soil or?
Not really, because I will have different kind of crops. I realize that for rice it has to stay on top, not from bottom. For millets and groundnuts, I want it sprinkled. Plants like if it is sprinkled from top. It mimics rain. So, but your point is also valid because what plants actually need is only moisture content in the soil area. But I think that is possible for certain types of plants if you mulch it. But here,
Ones all around,
sorry?
the ones that are all around,
Yeah.
once they start growing a little, maybe the water supply source could be a little under the ground, not,
It can be.
you think?
It can be. Just that it can be. But my only thing was, I wanted to, because my connection to sprinklers are on the top. It is not in the bottom. And I have built it in such a way that I can use sprinklers on any plots. So I necessarily had to have the connection on top because I could only fix it on top. So it was not, and I would save water on that. If I had to let it go into the land, it may work for a field where you're having rice, where water has to stay. Here I will not even know the amount of water that's going. I won't have a count of that. So if it is drip for plants, it's okay. You can keep the place moist. But for a large plot of land, I'm not sure if that is something that you can work because you really want to know. Because too much of water can also kill a plant. So, what you see is what you get. So I put it where I can see. I can control it better. Yeah, but I will think about it because that seems to be a good thought process.
I was just thinking like it's a similar system like a drip for those plants which grow deeper. I think you got it.
I got your point, but how can I disperse it down? So I'll only have a point where I can give the water outlet, but how can I spread it across a land of 30 acres? I should have.
For drip,
No, I can't. Then I can't do a tilling. I can't turn the land. I can't till. tomorrow I have to till the land, right? I can't do all those things. If I give a water system down, I don't know if it's viable. But I'm not ruling that out. I haven't thought of it like this.
We had a weird idea like that, but what happened is the soil went into the pipe.
Pipes, yes. I still face it now. Yeah. That's a good. That's a good. See.
Right,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
What do you do for the others in Africa that gets locked down? I am not sure what is the for
Cow's urine is miraculous. Run cow's urine. Water mixed with cow's urine. They clean up.
And one more thing is, I found that you're not had a domestication, you have this, you don't have this palm tree. It's supposed to.
I already have palm. I already have. Naturally in my land.
So
I
that
have.
takes care of the water.
Yeah, I have palm in certain areas. I'm not growing any extra palms because they already are part of the ecosystem. I have about 6 palm trees. I think that's enough because they've grown naturally and they are in the right location. So that's the reason why I didn't put palm. But palm is very good because they control water erosion and they are very good to form a tree. They're very good in permaculture to form a tree. Any other questions I can?
Palm trees, how do they help?
Sorry?
Palm trees.
Palm trees typically control overflow of water. Supply water underground to answer her question. If you have a palm tree, you can be sure that the roots will travel longer. Because the water source, it'll send it across deeper into the soil. Yeah, you asked me.
What's the water capacity you use for it?
I have a 5 HP submersible.
Sometimes they get the problem when we have the winter. Not exactly giving the rainflow.
For me, 5 HP submersible works for this. You have to calculate that. It works for my area of 14 acres. They just spread evenly. So I don't do both. If I run the drip, I don't irrigate the land. So I only do drip. And I do drip either in the morning or in the late evening when the sun is not high. So I run for 45 minutes. And the other time is when you water your plant. You don't do it every day. And you had somebody else had a question. Yes, sorry.
Have you taken measures to save rainwater and use it?
Yeah, rainwater is something that goes to the ground. So whatever I'm doing, I believe that it is harvested by the rain and it goes back into the land and my well gets recharged. I have 3 wells. If you look at this, it's a flat line. The measure that I think I could do at this point of time is I have divided the plot with bunds. So when a water comes, it doesn't go to the next plot. Whatever water is there, it stays and it goes down. So there are periods where I don't water the plants at all. I didn't water plants at all for 4 months, Peter. 4 months when there were rains. My well level came up 40-50 feet. And I'm sure water keeps going in. And it's best stored, where you can use it later. What you can do for water is you can prevent overruns. So if your land is in a slight incline, you can plan for collecting water. One of my friends has done, he studies the flow of water. And what he does is, where the flow of water goes, he's actually built a nice pond. So it collects into the pond, and there he grows fish and ducks and all that stuff. The fertilizer is very high. The value of it is quite high. So it all depends from land to land. You'll have to actually study your land. There are many other methods that people use. I'm not aware of many because I only practice this because I have a flat land. But there are many people who do something like what that lady was saying. I don't recollect the name, but what they do is they cut across the land where they cut any overrun of the water and spread it on the topsoil. I'll get the name in some time. There are many, but it's all very land specific. Yeah.
Shale.
Shales, no. Not shale. I'll get the name. I think so. Somebody else asked a question. Any questions on water?
So just a different kind of I didn't water it, but it kind of got right like this. 2 months. They're all right off.
I'm sorry, sir. I have to ask one of my farmers.
You're able to see it, right?
Yeah, I'm able to see. I'm able to see.
Just 2 months, that's down.
But no, it might depend on this variety. This is what severity.
Yeah.
What variety is this? See, I think a larger part of your where did we get this happening? Was it traditional?
Yeah. But I mean, that's what the guy said.
No, I'll check with somebody who will know a little more information on the book.
But we didn't water. I mean, we had a problem with electricity, so we didn't water much.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Maybe that's the reason. Any other questions or can I move forward?
Sir, you said the pipes are buried and
Yeah.
what is the purpose of using the land?
Sorry?
Pipes are buried and
Why not on the land? The question is, why are pipes buried into the land? For me, I needed to get an incline. So my idea was to see if I can be off the grid and use gravity to irrigate the entire land. So you have to use gravity, it has to have an incline. So if you put water here, it naturally flows without any energy to the last plot of land. So that's the reason so if I start here, it will go down, right? The incline to 3 feet. So that's the reason why I did it. Second is, I didn't want it to come in the way of plowing or heavy machineries going up and down. So gravity works. So even without motor, I just open the valve on top, water flows. So that was the reason why I buried it down. Yeah.
Are you using a tractor or power?
Yes, I use a tractor, a small lightweight tractor. Though I personally don't like to use it, I have no other choice. For two reasons, because I don't get labor. And people no longer plow with cows. That is the image we carry in the mind. You go to the village, I don't see anybody using a plow, they laugh at you. But at the end of the day, you have to plow, right? So, I don't have a choice, but I use a light tractor. Though my farmer complains about it, I use a very...
Power tiller?
No, I don't use a power tiller. I just use a tractor, I don't use a power tiller. I don't think I need a power tiller.
Use a rotor leader?
No, I don't use it also. I did SRI method of, so I don't need it. And wherever possible, I use manual. I just use whatever can be done. Sorry?
Pipes are not getting used. You don't know? And you use filler on top of the pipe.
No. Pipes are buried down. I'm not worried about the pipes. They're 3 feet down. And they're only the corner. They don't come where I found. You see, pipes are nowhere coming in the way of the land which you plow. They're all on the road or by the bunds only. So they really don't come in the way of plowing. Yeah, no. So I don't use it because I haven't found a need for it now. And I grow rice very limited. So I do more of millets, more vegetables. So I haven't found a need for that as well. And I also grow millets because they conserve much less water than rice. I grow rice only to level the field, not for... so that way, that's another way of conserving water. Any other questions?
You told you are conserving the water. So do you have any thing to measure how much water you are consuming?
No. I have not gone to that level of measuring, though I have it as a data feed. I am measuring as how much of water is required per yield. So I am not measuring how much I save because I really don't know.
You are not saving how much you are placing.
Yeah, of course. I am measuring that, but I don't know how accurate it is because we only use a standard so many liters per minute as a module. But that varies. If I use a motor pump, that varies. I can only take an average. If I do it based on gravity, it varies. So if it rains and then I water, it varies. So today I don't have an accurate data, but I am measuring something. So only thing I know is as a concept I am saving water by the crop selection, by using pipes. But I don't have an exact rate. But one thing I know is I am able to see the well level. I am able to farm even in summer when others are not able to farm. So I think that's the measure. So the main thing is crop selection also is very important for water conservation. So when I was talking about millets or intercropping, they're all very important for conserving water. Instead of just doing paddy or any other thing. Yeah, here I wanted to show you. See, I have evolved a system where I am, kind of, I list what is the name, what are the categories they come under. Are they short term, medium term, long term? Because end of the day, if I have to make it viable or make it viable for anybody, you need to have a combination of these things. Yeah, and then I'm also capturing what comes for shade crops. So there are some crops which grow in shade. So I'm kind of documenting this, it's not completely there, but I'm documenting this. And I'm doing this for plants not grown only in my, not only that grows in my farms, but also in other areas which inputs from other farmers, inputs from other websites, they have some of these data. So if you look at it, these are all the plants that grow. They have a Tamil name, they have a botanical name, what family they belong to. So here is what I'm capturing, what you asked. So there's a soil type, there are different soil types. In fact, I'm doing an experiment where I have my seed planted in loamy soil. I have two other friends' farm where I have planted it in their field, the same seeds, and I want to see how they yield. It's a test data. I can't really say it's complete data, but it's a test data. So I'm going to classify soil types, and I'm also trying different spacings. Some people say 25 feet is good, some people say 15 feet is good, between two plants, so we're doing that. And trees per acre, this is where I water, how much of water is conserved there. What is the average yield? This is one big question, this average yield is a big question. I put groundnut for an acre. My people around my farm tell me, you will get 10 bags of groundnut. But in organic you can say you will get 5 bags of groundnut. But then somebody from Body tells me 5, I get 30 bags. So these are all very, very different. There's no standard yield available for one particular groundnut in a particular land. So I'm having a big challenge to even see. I'm capturing all this data because tomorrow if somebody were to ask me, is organic farming viable? I need to have data to say, hey, this is your soil. I think this can be your average yield. So I'm still in that journey. So I don't have answers. So but I'm trying to capture as many metrics as possible. Another field that you will see is what is the market price. So this keeps changing. So that if your yield is this, what is your market price as well? So gestation and crop longevity, that's also very important if you invest on certain type of plants. So that's why token trees, so they were doing it for 10 years, 15 years or 50 years. So that would justify your investment in that. So, any questions on this? Any questions? Yeah.
So I have one important question.
Yeah, sure.
Just probably overall perspective of organic. That's like overall perspective of organic. Like we do all the organic farming, everything, but when we say the yield is less, that's fine. But when you go to the market, you have to be like something branded as it's really organic. So that's the very biggest thing.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Like if it is a biggest brand like all those 24 mantra, they have a branded certificate there.
Yeah.
But farmers like us, 10 acre per acre.
Yeah.
So you should have something a viable proof that we are organic farmers.
Exactly.
Then only you will get a proper price.
Exactly. See, my challenge, a good question actually. This was something that I modeled also, my crops based on what is, I told you that I'm cultivating crops that can be stored. Actually, vegetables comes wonderfully well in my farm. The problem is, if I grow vegetables, I have to just keep transporting every other day. And even if I supply to 10 organic shops that I know here, they will not be able to take my produce. If it can be stored, then it has value. Then if it has shelf life. For example, rice can have shelf. We can store it indefinitely. Millets, if they are properly cleaned and stored, pulses can be stored. Chilies can be dried. I found that tomatoes can be sun-dried and they fetch you a premium because a lot of people are willing to buy sun-dried tomatoes. So if you plan your crops accordingly, then I think it will be viable.
Those are all like a kind of storage and value-added kind of things. But what about the day-to-day consumption vegetables? Typically in organic, whatever you cultivate, it's like a decomposed area. That's the true nature.
Not really.
Because of not adding
No. I find the opposite. In fact, if it is cleaned and cared, I have my pulse I store seeds, no, I don't buy seeds anymore.
It's not about seeds.
No, I'm saying I store the same produce back. I have not done anything, it's still there. I have pachapari which I got from last year, it's very good actually.
Yeah, that's purely understandable. It's all about the pulses, seeds, grains, all those things.
That's why I'm not growing vegetables.
The vegetables.
No, I'm not growing vegetables at this point of time. Till the demand picks up where I can supply vegetables. So, if you have to be sustainable, you have to mimic the market realities also. So, if you grow a lot of vegetables, you'll end up just transporting. And there's no demand to kind of take it. So, you probably wait and see what you can do. The vegetables that I use are only for my home consumption. And family and friends use it, that's all. I don't sell it at all. I go once a week, I pick up whatever is there. And the rest is left to the ground. I grow very little vegetables. So each of you have to have a model. You have to do a market survey if you want to get to organic. You look at which are your markets and you look at transportation. So that's why this road and other things are important. Sorry, this okay?
Two vehicles are blocking the way, it seems. Duster 3134 and Kudos 5393. If you can just move your vehicle, the watchman is asking. Thanks.
That's a nitrogen fixer. They call traditional name is Sanapan, sun hen. I'll just show you some pictures of it.
What is the Tamil name for it?
Sanakpai is what they call. The English name is sun hen. But instead of Navadhanam, I use this.
I have questions.
Yeah, sure, please.
In Tamil Nadu, did you face in the last few years, did you face any heavy rainfall, or because of rainfall there was water being started there and we had some problems because of that?
I'm sure there should have been. I don't have data
Two types
about
of
that.
cyclonic rainfall and there was monsoon rainfall.
Yeah. That's a cycle that happens all the time. But I think it happens in different areas. Wherever there's heavy rain, water.
Does heavy rain causes problem?
Of course. I had one crop of eld completely gone because of heavy rain.
It just takes one bout of shower at a specific time to wipe out the complete.
Yeah. I lost a crop of mustard. Sorry.
Sesame.
Sesame. I lost one crop of sesame.
And during cyclonic rainfall, how do you manage? Because the wind storms would be...
I don't manage it. I just have to leave it to nature. So I can't manage that. It's just a bit.
Sustainable kind of farming practice will give you a good balance of that. Is there an equilibrium because you are maintaining a sustainable farming?
Yeah, see, if you, I think you can do certain basic things, right? Basic thing is if you try and see that there is no water logging, if you see that there's provision for water flow, if you have appropriate wells for water charge, if you plan that, if there are plants which are built to the fence, so the water can be sent down. So if you plan those things, I think largely you're safe. But in spite of all this, nature has its own way. You can't really fight nature. We all think we can fight, but then you should stop agriculture. Agriculture is just a human invention 5,000 years back. So you have to have permaculture and forests. So they know how to survive and, So I'm just saying. So you have that type of plant which has more trees. They stop soil erosion, they stop water erosion. So I don't know the answer for it, honestly. Any questions?
So what about greenhouse here?
Greenhouse? No sir, I have a lot of sunlight. In fact, I have to protect plants from shade.
Yeah, that's why that was.
No, I'm using natural plants. No, that's why I built a fence. And
But they say the yield is better in greenhouse.
yes, sir. Yes, for certain type of plants. But instead of building a greenhouse, I will use the traditional method of having plants and then growing it in the shade. Because at the end of the day, if we go on adding costs, this gentleman asked, then it's possible. Any questions?
Yeah. How did you go about acquiring the knowledge? I mean, what crops and how did you collect that?
That is local knowledge. You go to the village, you have to really go and seek the village. They have all this process. You find somebody who is 70 plus and talk to them. They will tell you in their own ways, do this and do that. This is what they used to do. And you ask them what their father, they'll tell you all that. And visit many farms. There are good farms in Pondicherry. There are 3 farms. They have entirely documented this. Not documented, you can actually go there, you can see. You can visit my farm, I can give you the entire, I can share this entire knowledge with you. I even have a list of, I'm also making a master of what has to be rotated.
In fact, we wanted to put Navada onion first. I mean, that's a way to kind of thing. So when we went there to actually try and get some seeds around and things like that, a lot of people who we were talking to in the village, they started telling us that, no, don't, my grandfather's time we used to put sunhen. So put that only.
Yeah, so you get a lot of knowledge.
So
I don't have the
then
file
we
now.
decided to put only sunhen.
Please, I want to talk here on the mic.
Is that like in this area alone they use SNM or everywhere in Tamil Nadu they do this SNM?
No. It is very regional specific. It's very regional specific. You have to go with local. See, that's another thing I have really important. I do organic farming, but the rest of them all do pesticide. I can't go and say I'm great and I'm doing this. No, I think you should stop. They're doing those things for a particular reason. I think you need to take local knowledge, but use your discretion to see, how you could blend in with the labor. They actually question. My neighbor, my farm neighbor, he laughed when I put sunhen. And then when he saw this is his cycle actually. When he saw it this high, he was surprised. I didn't use anything. He said, "Sir, urea I didn't do anything." You know what he did? He had casuarina. He was so inspired by this, he cut down all his casuarina and sold it. He left a small remaining patch. Rest he did sunhen. And then right now he's growing paddy, groundnut, whatever I'm growing he's growing. Only difference is he's putting chemicals and all that stuff. But at least he's seeing some value in doing this. So I don't think we should be preachy. Even I don't have enough evidence to be preachy because I've really not broken even, or I don't have a model. But people are inspired when you do certain things, and I think that is spread. So I really.
How does this grow?
Actually, I let it grow too much. You should cut it when it flowers. The whole thing flowers. I think there's a picture of it somewhere. Is there a picture? Yeah. So you have to wait till it flowers fully. The minute it flowers, you just fill it back to the land. So the height is as long as it takes to flower. That's all. So it flowers at 4 feet or whatever.
What's the correct time?
Correct time? Average about 3 months, yeah.
Starting.
No, summer is usually, see, in this area, summer they usually leave the land. They don't disturb the land because there's a pressure on water, and the typical way they don't really farm in summer. This, after March, they finish, this Tamil New Year will come, no? They will finish all the harvest, and they will leave it for a few months. They will not really, they will wait for the next pattam. They call it pattam. I think even June is the next pattam. See, they were all traditionally very intelligent. They had science behind all. It is just that we need to. You go and talk to a farmer, he'll tell you, "Sir, in the pattam, in the potting. So they have it. They just know it. It's only for us. It's so difficult to understand. Why are they growing, mustard at this pattam? Why are they doing onion in this pattam? You never understand that. But that traditional knowledge is there in the villages. It is for us to document it, and I actually have a sheet where I've documented. I don't have it here right now. I worked on a complete crop rotation file. So if you have this crop, after that what pattam, what crop you need to put. But again, that may not be accurate. It has to be collaboratively work because I am doing what is good for my land in our corner. It will be very different for your land in Tirunelveli, I don't know. So it's just a framework. You just need to work on that. It gives you a broad guideline. Yeah.
For a terrace garden also, for the pots we have to rotate to utilize the soil.
No, I think it's enough if you rotate your soil. I don't know if you will be able to rotate crops. You can try doing
If I
that.
go bindi in a particular pot,
Yeah.
after the plant is gone,
Yes, that's yes.
can I grow bindi again?
No. I think you should do something
Bangans
else.
or
Yeah.
chilies or
Yeah. If you just take the principles, it's enough. Principle is if you rotate, it's better for the soil. So this is a picture of intercropping with sesame and tur and legume. This is how, so this fixes nitrogen while the other one takes nitrogen, so you balance it out. So all traditional farming, if you look at, they'll always have intercropping, they'll never do monocropping. Yeah, this is the remains of my kambu crop. It was completely eaten by birds. So, these things happen. I have not done this in my farm, but there are some people who do something very brilliant. In large tracts of land, they have bird perches. Very simple thing like a bird perch. Controls insects. For organic farmers, they don't say there are any pests. They don't call it pests at all. Because everything has a meaning. There is an ecosystem. They all have their own purpose. But what some people do is they just control it naturally. They have a simple thing called a bird perch. In my large tract of land, there's no tree in the middle, so birds really can't sit anywhere. I'll share some pictures that Peter had shared with me. So this is a large tract of my land, that's a road. So there's no place for any birds to actually sit. So if you have a bird perch in between, so they control insects, they eat insects. They control insects by, each insect breeds. So even if I eat one insect, a bird eats an insect, it controls the birth of many other insects. So there are these. This is the produce that we just took yesterday when Peter had come there. So you have pumpkins, you have tomatoes, you have some groundnuts. So this is rice ready to be harvested. They are harvesting it today. This is that Mapla Samba variety that's there. Sorry? Hand. It's small plots of land, 36 by hand, by sickle. To minimize machine. This is a small tractor we have, the smallest possible. Because for 14 acres you really can't till otherwise. That's Peter trying to ride the tractor. This is my farmer, we have a house. This is the one there is a weeder, you just cut. Because it's very difficult to take by hand. So he just cuts it. So some amount of technology is okay, which will help you in these weeder, pipes, sprinkler, drip irrigation. These are all very helpful. Yeah, these are people who live there. Just husband and wife. I just finished building this column for drying the produce. The tractors there behind. So this is a pipe system next to the rice. So after plucking it yesterday morning. Those are the drip pipes. I just use drip to irrigate all my plants. Sprinklers. Yeah, it's getting late.
EcoSport 3134. Blocking, please. Sorry, good. We can go slow.
Yeah, I know. So this is some of the produce that we got there. Yeah, you have a better picture of the tractor.
How many is that?
The small one, yeah. The smallest, I think it's 75, I don't even know. I wanted the smallest and lightest one. I think 75. Another picture to show you drips. See, this is the drip which goes. And some lady asked me, how do you clean it? Cow's urine really cleans very well. So run it once with a mixture. So this is the the rice thing, and then you plant it. These are plants planted by my children, so they grow and they eat their food. Yeah, any questions I'll be able to answer. I mean, this presentation is just to kind of give an overview, but feel free to ask any questions I'll be able to answer.
How often do you make a trip to your farm?
If I'm here, I go every weekend. Sometimes when I travel on work, I'm unable to do it. I'm helped by a friend of mine. I hope he's here. Money? Yeah, please. So, actually, he's the original farmer. I'm a mobile farmer. So he helps me. His profession is very different, but he's also interested in farming. So he also has a story. He comes from Cheyyar. His father used to be a school teacher. His grandfather used to farm. So they all people come back to Chennai. They have lost the art of farming. So, but the farmer in him is still there, you know. So he was interested. He offered to. When I'm absent, he kind of helps me. We make visits almost every weekend if I'm here. So he knows more about, right now, I think he's actually building the cow shed and the storage room. I'm going to travel. See, I keep traveling. So money is the farmer who actually. Without him, I don't think we can even experiment. So you need people. Otherwise, it's impossible. Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Peter, he's the coordinator. Yeah, please.
Generic question. Again, organic farming with a substitute to conventional farming, looking at the food demand, growing food demand.
I have no answers here. I mean, actually, your questions are very relevant. I think it has to be an option because that's how we always farm. We were always organic, no? What is so new now? Organic?
There is a lot of innovation.
So you think by if your question is, can organic farming ever reach the quantity of produce that conventional farming does? I'm saying the answer is yes. Because there are very well documented practices, both in India and abroad, saying organic farming produces far better yield than traditional farming, than the pest or other type of farming. There are documented, studies to do that. So organic farming, I think we've lost touch with this kind of farming only in the last 50-60 years. So I think it's definitely possible. And I think that's the way we have. Why we keep eating food and we think it's healthy, but we get all kinds of diseases and all lifestyle diseases. So food is the type of food we eat is a major contributor. So definitely I think it's not good.
But if I may add, in an experimental farm in Tanjore, a farmer has confirmed that in his very second year of switching over to organic farming, his yield was much better than the NPK.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Second year itself, not even longer.
No, so but it may differ from place to place, soil to soil. But yes, there are documented evidences. Yeah.
Even with conventional farming, we are not feeding the entire world.
Sorry?
Even with conventional farming, we are not feeding the entire world.
Correct.
We are allowing village of people to die because of food. So we have been practicing organic farming for thousands of years, especially in India. And to be precise, only after Mr. M.S. Kannan introduced urea and DAP and other chemical fertilizers which left over the World War II, we have been started using. So we have been living in the earth for thousands of years with organic farming. So it's 100% viable.
You had a question.
Yeah, but now MS Kannan is also subscribed to organic.
Yeah,
that is just to sell biofertilizers. No, that is just to sell biofertilizers.
How to source people to take care of it?
Sorry, ma'am?
How to source people to take care of it?
That's a very difficult thing. How to source people to run your farm. If you are from a village, the best thing is to get people from a village. Otherwise, that's why I talked about the ecosystem of farming. You have to buy a land where there's an ecosystem of farming. Ask your neighbor. The neighbor is usually too happy for an extra fee to take care of your farm in addition to his farm. But the challenge there is you have to sensitize him to, if you want to do organic farming, because he will use urea on his land and he has to not use this. So there will be a comparison. So the biggest challenge is people look at you with the mindset of saying, hey, why, I'm doing something wrong if I don't use urea, if I don't use all the, recommended dosages of fertilizers and pest control if I don't use, they look at me in a very strange way. So the best is if you have somebody whom you could trust. The very best will be if you can move back to the land. If you can afford that, nothing like that, because there's no substitute for you actually doing things. If you have the luxury to do it, that's the best. There are many of my friends who have done that. I'm still far away from doing that. So that is finding one. Retaining is another big challenge. So you have to constantly motivate them. And one way that I think helps me motivate my farmers is Because the biggest non-believer of what I'm doing is my own farmer. So each small step was a big victory for him and for me. So he won his first victory when he said pests are coming and that I'm not doing any of these things. So I must thank my wife here who went and did Poochie variety very diligently, and then that inspired him to actually do Poochie variety. He still didn't believe in it. But after 3 or 4 times, he says, I don't have any Poochie at all. Even if it comes for the rest of the crops, he'll make no the crops. So it is unless you spend quality time with him, understand his background, understand his personal goals and objectives, I don't think we are motivated. It differs. Somebody else wanted, yeah.
Yeah, for your home garden, how do you make the biofertilizers?
Home garden for your biofertilizer.
And pesticides, more important.
Pesticide, I will say Poochie variety is universal. You have to have access to cow urine. You take cow's urine, take it in a, one of these drums that you have, any drum, put cow's urine, cut neem. I'll give you a list. I'll send you a mail to see with the biological name and the name, Tamil name also. 7 plants. You just have to cut it, soak it for a week, strain it, take 10. That's a concentrate now. It'll smell horribly. Okay, so 10%, add 1 liter. If it's 1 liter, add 100 ml of water. Then spray on it every 15 days. That'll take care of all Poochie. The other question you asked is how do you fertilize your soil? You have your kitchen waste, right? So there's something called kamba. Is it kamba, right?
Yeah.
Kamba is where you compost it.
You can make a compost.
You could compost out of your home.
I mean, essentially the kamba is it has some holes in a pot. Okay, and it's in 3 layers. So what happens actually is that there is a scope for very little air to pass in through that this thing, and there is a very clear process of composting. So you can compost all your kitchen waste into that, form a very dry, at the end of 90 days you get a very dry compost which you can just touch with your hands. So you can use that for the kitchen garden. I mean,
it doesn't smell also.
Another easier way for that is take one big water pot,
Yep.
make a hole at the bottom, put it on the stand and put a small bowl to collect the leachate. Keep putting your kitchen waste into it. Once it comes about 3/4 full, leave it for about 2.5 months or 3 months.
Okay.
For about 2.5 months or 3 months. Don't add non-veg into it, like non-veg waste into it, because non-veg takes a longer time to decompose, whereas all the vegetable waste and food waste you can just add to it.
Okay, that's a nice
So,
idea.
ideal way would be to have 2 pots. So, once one is full, leave it for 2.5 months, use the other one. When the other one gets done, this would be ready. So, you can just take the compost out and use this one, start filling this one.
Great.
The other one will be done.
Will be closed?
Huh?
Rather close.
Yeah, you just close it with like in normal water, we get these mud water pots.
Yeah, but it will have a counter above.
No, put it in a place where it has ample sunlight. Put it on top of your terrace.
Can we add dry leaves from the garden into this?
Yes.
No, because it's
Once you are
already in
planning,
the sun.
I'm sorry, once
You
you are
don't
planning
have
to
to worry
prepare your
about
own compost, try to make it as small granules as possible. Even if it's going to be a dry leaf or a green leaf, it's not a problem. Okay, I'm just adding to her views. When you are trying to make your compost in your container, fill 2 inches with the compostable material. Fill 1 inch, the next layer should be 1 inch of the local soil, and again 2 inches with the compost material, and again the soil. The top layer should be fixed with the local indigenous soil. So once you confirm with the local indigenous soil, and it takes its own time to decompose, as you're not going to add any water to it or any enzymes to it, leave it for 75-90 days. So once it composes, you definitely require enzymes from the natural soil. That's the reason I'm talking about the local soil. So when you use that enzymes in the soil will automatically decompose the entire vegetable stuff. You can definitely add follower leaves in your garden. So have 2 or 3 compostable bins like that. It makes a round robin basis. You can make your own compost on the year.
So you don't have to put any enzymes.
Need not, sir. Your soil will do that.
Can you share me your perspective on the number of cows required for, say, a 15-acre farm?
15-acre farm, you don't want it for the milk. Rough calculation, I may be wrong. I think I need about the produce of, the dung and urine of 6 cows. Sorry?
Country cows.
Country cows, yes.
They are best for their.
Yeah, country cows, not Jersey or anything. Country cows. So 6 is
Any
my.
lands available for expansion next to you?
Sorry?
Any lands available next to your farm?
There are lots of lands. Lots of land available, yes.
That guidance you can also give. So since you have done already a few years homework, that should be available.
Lands are available, yes. Lands are available. But yeah, I'm just trying to get this story going properly because I still have so many questions that are unanswered. I think I'll only learn as I progress.
How long have you been practicing this?
Practicing, I started this about 2 years back. I'm talking about scouting to converting it. I have taken three seasons of produce. That's all is my experience. I've not even exhausted. Sorry?
Grains included.
Yes, grains, millets, pulses, vegetables, all included. And I've not finished my crop list that can be grown there. So I've only taken 3 crops. I've only done 3 times. So my experience is very limited to that. So that's why I told you it's just a sharing of my journey. I may not have many answers, but
What is your background?
my background.
Look professional background.
No. Yeah. How did I move into this? My background is, I run a software company, that's my background. So, born in Chennai. But I think we all come from families of farmers, so there's something, I think there's a constant gardener in every one of us, right? So I think it's, that plus children's and wife's inspiration maybe. I don't know, I really can't put it into words. But the strongest factor is when I see there's so many people coming to schools. I want to see farming is viable. Everybody, once they turn 60, they talk about farming, they want to go back to the land. My father did that. I've seen 100 people. By the time they reach 60 and they retire, they talk about... Sorry. Sorry. No, it's 40? Okay. Okay. So that is probably the first... Everybody, when they reach 60, have to farm. Sir, am I right?
100% right.
So I started asking why 60, why not do it now? Because I'm also going to do the same thing when I reach 60. So maybe that's the strongest.
So you had electricity in the land when you bought?
Yeah, when I bought there was a connection.
Oh.
They call it, what do they call it, money? Supply. They call it supply. Supply is the...
I'm facing a problem. Last 2 years have been...
Yeah, 7 years is the average time in Tamil Nadu. You have to try it.
They're paying 8 rupees per...
You have to try solar. If you
What
have
do you do
a...
with the sewage generated from the house?
Sorry?
What do you do with the sewage that is generated from the house?
Very little sewage, they use the open area, that is designated area. I don't generate so much of sewage at this point of time. There's 2 people. So it becomes natural compost, which is very good for the land. But if there are more people, we'll have to look at models like how Sadhana Forest does or other people do. They actually have a method of composting, which is very, very effective.
So you want to stop.
Yeah.
You want to start something
like in my house, the ponds.
in your house.
So just a very small, just for my family, very mini scale.
What are the crops that you recommend?
Yeah, the gentleman wants to know what are the crops he has to choose if he has to do it at home. From my knowledge, I would say start with vegetables and herbs. Greens, yes, greens and vegetables. I think he's already having a terrace garden. So, yeah, so creepers is another good thing that you can do. Start with that. I don't think... Kira is, yeah, greens. Kira is very good. Kira, some people do with raised beds.
Kira market outside pesticides. Chop down
Any other questions? I don't know. There are a lot of things available, but I am not aware of it still. If you have some information, please. Yes, sir.
A very basic question, basically. Might sound very unintelligent, but see, we as a group of friends, we've been always, and like how you said, the age is coming down maybe, but a little late, but yeah, still very much interested in this farming. But since we didn't save, we spend on restaurants and movies and traveling. We don't have money to buy land now, and that's the big thing. Government doesn't give a loan for this kind of thing. They give housing loans. So that itself for past 1 year is a big, say the biggest hindrance in our way of even starting something even small.
Correct.
Because like I said, we have our regular jobs and we are a weekend farmer. So we wanted to know that do you think that, or do you hear of things where even people like us, like they have only the big builders of land banks, but if smaller farmers who have land banks can say bring in people like us who are workers but come there on weekends, do something as a group, like how CTC was called to that organic farm, organic fill for harvesting. So with a person like me who was a small kid there, it was amazing because we grew up as children doing all this. We had our villages and we have our farmland, but these days the kids don't. I guess you also have a daughter.
I have a daughter.
So I'm saying as a CTC Peter also, that is there something that we could do for people like us to engage in these things more, involve our children more in this on a regular basis, Mr. Kannan, you have a farm, and if we could just be helpers, I mean, we can't be owners of farms right now, people like us, but we're very much interested in the process itself, or the thought process. So, do you think
absolutely.
That is one first part. Second thing, we've been trying to consume as much as organic food at home for past 2 years, 2.5 years. Fortunately, unfortunately, we get all the other stuff like we get the grains, we get the rice, we get the millets. We don't get the vegetables, even if we want to buy.
I know.
With the problem of transferring and transporting and all that around. There was somebody called where.com, but the kind of vegetables you get are very limited and very. So, is
Very
there
seasonal.
there is a group of all these pocket organic farmers who can come together, and is there a process in that also, any development?
Restore, have you heard of Restore? There's a shop called Restore.
Where is it?
Restore is in Kotivakam.
Oh, we are in Nugambakam.
Nugambakam.
We go to what is it? JC Organic Store and Dhanyam Organic Store.
Dhanyam, yes, but vegetables is a big problem everywhere, yes. See, I'll tell you my problem with vegetables. Vegetables grow phenomenally well in my garden. In fact, it would be the best thing for me to grow vegetables. But the problem with me is I don't have enough offtake. So I have to waste tomatoes and vegetables.
So that's
my problem. Yeah.
I'm saying, like, there are lots of individuals like you who are doing organic farming, growing vegetables and all this in their own individual pockets. But if there was a
there is something called organic farmers market. They're trying to bring out all organic farmers together and to be able to offer this.
So I think models are evolving. As Preeta says, there is an association. Restore is doing one here. Maybe they'll open a branch in different parts of Chennai because we get most of our vegetables from it. But one thing in organic is it will be seasonal.
Absolutely.
So you will not get, Yes.
I have a personal incident because I took my mom for purchasing organic vegetables. So I was aware and I was studying for last 6 months what is organic and how it is good for us. My mom is like blind, she doesn't know anything about it. She says it's just an organic vegetable, it's just a vegetable. How do you know that this vegetable is being mixed with the chemicalized one? And people don't get to go, if it is 20 rupees and if it is 40 rupees in organic, so people don't get to go.
So true.
I guess you have to go to the same faith you go to temples. At least we're giving it a
So I was
chance.
actually surprised and answered to my mom's question, and I was like dumb there.
No, there are certifications. The government itself certifies. They have a process. The land should not have used any pest for at least 3 years. And then there's a process of applying for the certification. But most of them don't.
That's it. That's for the shelf-life product.
It's expensive and time consuming.
Talking about the food.
Yeah, but what restaurant is doing is they check the farmer.
Yeah, they check the farmer.
And they do it themselves. So I think it's a matter of faith.
The first question.
First question, Peter, is there an answer to the first question? They're saying if CTC can involve in. That was a question by the
So basically the plan, so I had a visit to Kannan's farm and was really overwhelmed by what's happening there. So I'm really very passionate to go there on a regular basis and make it open to anyone who is interested, like say every weekend, or I plan at least twice a month to go there. We can combine it with our typical outdoor activities. We can get the kids along, we can camp. I see nice hills around, just 15 kilometers from Nagalapuram. So a lot of nice options to go there, spend the weekend and do our usual stuff, cycling, trekking, climbing, and also do a little bit of useful organic farming. So that's going to happen. I mean, if you signed up, we'll keep you guys in the loop. And I think starting this weekend itself, Kannan needs some help with some de-weeding, a lot of things have to be done, he told me. So if we can go on a regular basis, really it will be useful for him. We can learn, we can gain a lot of knowledge, right? Because only when you do it like practical, this is all nice data presentations, but unless you go there and do it, you will learn it over the seasons, over the crops, and then maybe you can start something on your own. And it's a unique opportunity because he has invested a lot in this thing. It's a huge place. I've also been looking for a farm myself, but near the city it's almost impossible. It's like 65 lakhs per acre. And even if you buy the land, I mean, he has so much scientific knowledge and experience which will be very helpful to guide us and do something useful. So please hop in the coming weekends. We'll go there with 20, 30 people, camp, do something useful, gain experience, learn, experiment. And over the next 1 or 2 years, I'm sure that all of this public, all of interested, passionate people, more organic farmers are going to be coming out of this audience. Thanks to the offer of Kannan actually to allow it.
So, as Peter said, any one of you is welcome to kind of learn, because I'm also learning. I can share what I've learned. Plus, I can also give you. I've divided the plots into different lands, so you can probably form a group. You can craft a particular plot. You can do a guild, permaculture guild. You can plan 1 year season within that. You can see if it fits your family. So I'm saying you can do all that experiment. So I'm very open to kind of people coming in and doing this. So it's just a journey. I'll be very happy to share it with people. Any questions or anything?
Yet another vehicle, Mitsubishi 1326.
Hey, that's my car.
Oh. Oops.
No, you asked her. Preeta, can you just...
Somebody can.
Yeah, sir.
Gaps in between the crops. I see in Kashmir that the gap in between the crops must be bit longer than usually. So that includes more. So that's what the suggestion there. Keep on.
My experience is very limited to my land. There, for coconut, they do 15 or 20. But I have seen people who do 25 feet if they want to do intercropping. So I want to do intercropping. So I've kept it 25 feet. I want to do intercropping with banana. So my reason for doing that gap is very different. But there are people with just coconut farms who are done with 15 feet. Yeah. So that is very local to the land where.
Yeah, yes. In case you run out of water,
sorry?
In case you run out of water, I hope it is not.
No, it will. So right now, I don't plan to dig deeper. I would rather focus more on collecting all the rain that's possible and using crop which use very less water. For example, millets. You don't need to, there are a lot of crops you don't need to water, or they use very minimal water. So you just have to plan your agriculture based on rain. You may be successful, you may not come, but if you plan like that. And I think it will be, and I was lucky because at least for 12 years there was no agriculture on the land. So I think the water table was, but if a neighbor pulls water, you can't have to. Yeah, I'm planning on chicken. First will be automatic. Goat, yes, the manure is extremely good. Today I buy from the village, but I'm doing everything in phases. See, I just go on weekends. I have to do that in phase 2. Right now I'm building the cattle shed in the storeroom. So I will definitely get goats. Yeah, actually somebody spoke about pigs also. I have no clue, honestly. I don't know. But I want to figure peanuts because they're so important for an ecosystem. Yeah, I'm very far away from all that knowledge. I'm also on a journey, so maybe 2 years from now, we can all do it together. Yeah. Yes. You can use clay pots for drip irrigation. For plants, instead of drip, what people do is they collect all those 1 liter bottles which are thrown. So they cut it, they put a thread from the moody to the ground, but they don't water on the plant. It's 10 centimeters away from the plant, they put a stick and they spread it, and that will go by drips. Through the thread it will go down. But you have to physically go and refill it with labor. So yes, if it is a small plot of land, yes, it's a great idea. So you don't need to. Sprinklers work with the force of water. So when the water, if you sprinklers, most of them work with the power, with the pressure of water. So if you're pushing it through a motor, the water force will make the sprinklers work. But if you're using gravity and low rate tank, that will generate enough force, so it will make. Now, right now I still use motor, but I have to build a water tank. I have to build a water tank. You see, finding laborers to come and work there is necessary to build a structure. Those are problems you face. Second, I can do is I can actually have a solar panel, store it in the niche, that's all. Right now I'm not completely off the grid. I use electricity, but I will over a period of time. Sure, when you have a large tree, the shade itself does not affect. That's not nice. You don't take shade, or you need to plant. We need to have herbs to stop it. Peter, yes. Certification, there's Agriculture University, there are multiple bodies which give you organic certification. So, it is tedious. So, I don't know any other way to make it easy because I haven't even applied for it. I don't know what's good. I'm not going to apply. See, I still not considered myself a farmer. No, I don't. I try and put it in the way I understand. I should be able to. It's like it's much like no, it's here. No, I think yeah, you can share. The thing is that also money will be easier. Yeah, I don't know if I have very yeah.